Welcome everyone, it is Unstoppable Stiletsy here with another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition Casa game. This time we got ourselves a deathmatch, but unlike the previous ones, this is actually a 3 versus 3 deathmatch, so quite a lot of players to be fighting right away. As you know, in deathmatch, everybody starts out with 20k of each starting resource, so yeah, 20k food, wood, coin. A lot of early fighting. Also a lot of Minutemen. Yeah, see how they're calling the levies here so they can send the Minutemen across to cause some havoc. But before we see the real fighting take place, let's look at the map real quick and see how it's going to factor in this fight. So, as you know on this map, you got this big giant plateau area, this big elevated spot here that has multiple entrance points that you could pretty easily put a wall in, put some gates in, basically making it a very defendable position. So really, anyone that could capture this whole entire area here, you know, has a real chance of winning, as long as they can hold on to it, because that basically means they're not going to deal with a lot of pressure at home. Their farms and their estates, or their rice paddies, or whatever they got, can basically do whatever it needs to uncontested. Also, you can secure your trade route here as well for your entire team behind those walls, so another reason to keep everything defended. Let's see who ends up beating who here, shall we? Alright, so, who do we got here? These are the, Russians. We know what the Russians do, right? We've actually seen both of these Russians active, Kaishki Tushki and Don Stow, in the last Casta game that I did on the channel, so we know what they're capable of, right? They're very good at attacking. This one in particular is known for like an attack from multiple angles. They've already built their church, so their 5 shipments are going to arrive. Reason why they build the church is so they can research mercantilism, which provides them up to 5 shipments in the early game, since, as you know, early shipments do not cost a lot of XP, so mercantilism ends up having a profound effect on your card count. I find it interesting they're already starting to get their economy up. I think that's a pretty good idea, because this is going to be a long and hard fight for both teams. And it's back to both teams. What's going on in the center map? Well, we see Red Russia already starting to put blockhouses down on the center map, because they know if they can capture this, that's a major advantage. And that already puts their team really ahead. But at the same time, you see France putting something up in the north. And then you see Lakota coming slightly behind them with some of their corrals to help support them. Anything up here? John Stow's actually putting a blockhouse up in the north too, quite far from his base. Does he plan on playing multiple fronts? I'm not quite sure. You know, he's also getting the Pajor's toy soldiers. This allows his recruits, these weaker Russian musketeers, to actually build forts. So perhaps this is part of an assault strategy. Generally, the artillery is coming out in the form of the mortars and the culverins. Right, so I think Red Russia's going to try to do a major push on the French or the Lakota at this point. They're already starting to stand right on top of those wall foundations and trying to push their way in. Also, we see a couple of unstoppable Stiletsys and recruits trying to form a bit of a formation there to protect the cannons as they try to come in. Let's see, though, if they can do it successfully. Now we see a bit of conflict up here between the Orange Russians and the Pink Dutch. So they're going to be contesting this area. Orange Russia really wants to take out this blockhouse because, you know, that's a bit of map control for the Pink Dutch to use to their advantage. At the same time, we see a war emerging down here for a while now between the Teal French and the Red Russians. Blue Teal France trying to cut into the artillery with cuirassiers, these very heavy pieces of cavalry that do splash damage. Perfect for ripping apart unstoppable Stiletsys, so they're no longer unstoppable. Those cannons aren't unstoppable, look at them fall up there. That's one push that Red Russia has to deal with. And unfortunately, their artillery foundry is now being sieged by dragoons and voltigwires. Will they get more cannons out in time to be able to defend that? We'll see. Now, what's interesting is we see Oprishniks. Are they going to arrive out of this fort down here? Yep. Red Russia's actually going for an assault, for a raid with these Oprishniks. From this fort conveniently built by the recruits. Also, heavy cannons are probably going to arrive somewhere up here to help, yep, heavy cannons, great idea. You know you don't have a foundry right now, so you're going to need some sort of cannon to be able to defend your base with, because you know Teal's going to make plenty of horse artillery. Also, they got voltigwires they have to deal with. Just make sure you preserve these cannons really well, since you don't have a really good supply from here. Best shot you got, of course, would be making some falcons down here and moving them up this way. But unfortunately, now Lakota is blocking that section with TPs and their Wakina rifles. Do we have any corrals in this area? Nope. So luckily you would just be dealing with infantry, which you could conceivably do. We see these culverins discouraging these horse artillery from making a push. Looks like Lakota and the Teal French are pushing in together now, so it turns into a 2 versus 1 on this front. What is Green doing? Green British. Kind of interesting because we would have thought the British would have jumped in over here and sort of taken some pressure off of Red at this point. So I don't know what they're doing. I do know for sure their economy is probably going to do pretty well since, you know, they get a big villager advantage early on with their manors. And because it's Deathmatch, they can literally afford all 20 of their manors right from the start, which means 20 extra villagers instantaneously almost. So yeah, they might just be focusing on their economy, but boy, do I think they need to get involved and help their friends out here. You know, this front could fall apart really easily down here if you don't do anything. This one is a little bit more nuanced because it's a 1 versus 1. Could really go back and forth multiple times. What's even the strategy up here? Oh, Tushki's going with another massive, lots of cannons again. Heavy horse guns, just like in the Deathmatch we last saw with him using Russia, so he loves to mass up cannons. And you know what? It's actually not a bad strategy, because it really denies Dutch access to their skirms, to their halberdiers, and it forces them to make lots of culverins and riders. Which, of course, you can use me, the unstoppable Streletsy, to target. Just be careful with those culverins, because they can really take some heavy hits out of your horse guns. And as you know, horse artillery, expensive units, so if you lose a lot of them, it's going to be really hard getting them back. Must also help having these Cossacks here to try to fish them in a little bit. Then you can hit them with the cannonballs, with me, the wonderful, incredible, unstoppable Streletsy. What we do see here, though, which is kind of interesting, is the emergence of a sort of like fortification here, right? We see red walling on this section, yellow Lakota have walled on this section. So they're starting to form like a permanent structured base on top of the plateau to make it really hard for the enemies to take it down. Also, Lakota warclubs starting to siege on this tower, probably trying to attack the docile British. Well, the British aren't docile anymore. They're starting to defend a little bit here for their Red Russian friends. Also, they're going to move their rangers up this way to deal with the warclubs. Also, to prevent any building over here. Yeah, if this war hut goes down, that's a serious problem. This means that Lakota can keep pushing in units, which could conceivably really temper down the British ability to help. Well, it looks like the Rangers are the perfect unit here since they are a skirmisher with multipliers against war clubs. But we do see, well, we see a, are they going to try to finish that, or, they're not even going to try to finish that, they're getting out of there. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, they'll try to get some teepees up to boost their units' hit points up around this area, but as far as putting down production buildings, they probably decide, you know what, that's not going to work too good, so we better play it safe here and not waste any abilities. Because if you lose too many villies, then you have to take your villagers on the community plaza and change them to the fertility dance and train them back very quickly. Oh, look at that hussar charge from the Pink Dutch in a big attempt to take down all the artillery here. A bold play that's going to have a lot of rewards, because we do not see a lot of anti-cav here. We have a couple of cav archers, we have some recruits coming out of the blockhouse, but really not a big mass over here protecting the artillery, though. The artillery was literally just targeted without much resistance. That's going to make a big difference now, because that cannon advantage that the Trusky Russians were using has now been decimated. Pink Dutch are going to try to make an advance here and try to boot off the Orange Russians from this section of the plateau, but that's going to be an uphill battle. As you know, they haven't even really gone out their realm yet. They're just trying to get on using these skirmishers and cults to do that, which are going to be pressured by a couple of Cossacks, so they have to be careful of that. Yeah, make sure you deal with these real quickly. Also, another group coming in too, so you might, try to choke point them behind these outposts. Good idea. Yeah, one got through. They could target this with the skirms. Yep, very good micro. You have to play this very carefully by ear to, yep, really good. Yep, that group just, oh, another group, so they're gonna keep coming out at this point. Oh wow, look at this. Lakota actually getting into the British. Is this the emergence of a major offense into their base? Could be, but unfortunately it's just Wakina rifles. It's not axe riders, right? I think. If you could get a big group of axe riders, get some of these factories down. Oh, that could be pretty good. Oh look, they're actually doing that with the Tazuki prowlers. Oh, that's great. That's excellent. Look at that. This is perfect. This is absolutely excellent here. This is a Dutch factory too, so that will help out on this front if you could take one of these out. Will they though? Nah, unfortunately they don't have enough units to do it. Nah, they should have been over here helping out. I think they could have potentially taken that out, but alright, it was a good attempt. Dutch have sent the Blue Guards in, which is basically their fancy looking musketeers. Very blue uniforms. Also, they decided to actually ship in their 2 heavy cannons card, just so they could help blast these infantry away at this point. And I think, yeah, that's definitely a great idea, because if you can get these heavy cannons rolling, you know, Unstoppable Streltsy becomes less and less unstoppable as time goes on. Also, recruits, you know, they can't deal with that. Oh wow, we're starting to see a paradigm shift on this front. Pink Dutch starting to destroy the buildings and the units. So it looks like Pink is now going to be taking control of this side. What happened? Oh wow, looks like Teal France is finally taking down the fort over here that the Russians were depending on. And also we see Red Russians put a fort a little bit further back onto the plateau. Also, they're going to try building onto this native site. By doing that, they're going to try to get the biggest mass they possibly can to defend this area and start pushing out again. And then we even see Greens starting to come in a little bit here with their culverins and some of their infantry units, a couple of dragoons. They're going to try to take down these teepees. Yeah, that's a great idea. If you can take the teepees out, it means the Lakota units you're going to deal with are going to have a lot less hit points on them. It's going to be a much cleaner fight for you. So let's see if they can get them all down time though, because they're going to build some teepees over here as well that should reach beyond this wall. So it's going to be complicated. But if you could remove the ones on the outside of the wall, this does prevent them from pressuring you any harder over in this area. And let's start looking at resources too while we're doing this, right? So our other Russia, the Orange Russia, as you can see here, their wood is pretty low right now, like only 500 wood. enough for like 5 cannons. That's sort of the consequence you get of making wood-heavy shipments like all of these unstoppable Streletzes from the blockhouse. On top of all the cans they were massive before, so, you know, they're not in the best shape right now in terms of wood. Coin also pretty much down too, so they're probably going to have to play it more defensively now. Use these walls they've already established to sort of camp it out and prevent their side from getting overrun. They have some culverins here, so they're probably going to put them like over here. Areas that can prevent horse artillery heavy cannons from making a serious advance against them. Also a bit of a mix of Cossacks with Strelets, because the Cossacks don't cost any wood. They cost coin, which is a little bit more plentiful in their coffers right now. I see both factories are also on wood right now, which is telling me that they really want to get some wood again so they can start pumping out those horse cannons again. Those heavy horse guns. Oh no, look out for this heavy can. Luckily, the culverins and the Cossacks there to intercept it. They're going to take down the other one as well, so... I was going to say bye-bye heavy cans, but this one has one more hit to go, so... Maybe take some Strelets or something and shoot this one. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. How about the Dutch, though? Dutch, as you know with Dutch, they have more money than even anyone can imagine, you know, even more than Wall Street in New York, the stocks. They got plenty of money flowing in through their banks. All those coin trickles really adds up, and therefore they're going to be able to mass artillery up whenever they want. Whether that be mortars, culverins, falcons, any can that they want from the foundry, they're going to be able to keep freeing in at rates that it would be really hard for the Russians to do. So Orange Russia really has a job cut out for them in doing that. Paying attention back to this front again, because I sort of consider this to be like one body over here. I consider really two fronts going on right now. You got the Red Russia and British front around attacking this shared base, sort of, and then you got the pink and orange one up here. Right, it helps you organize it a little bit better and group it together. I think for sure Lakota. Also, I want to check their resource cam. Yeah, they're starting to run out of resources right now, as you can see. That's why we're starting to see C-10 Bowman mixed in with the Wakina rifles. It's a budget option that only costs food and wood, so you can, you know, get some of your money back. Yep, what's great about the C-10 bows is they're actually a little bit tankier than the Wakina rifles, and they have a stronger rate of fire too, so when you compare the stats, sometimes the C-10 bows can dish out even more damage by firing a lot quicker. If you look right here, they fire like just about 2 shots for every shot done by the Wakinas. So pretty good stuff. Oh, they sent the kettle support. Kind of interesting, because you know when we see Tuski go Lakota, that's usually the first card they end up sending, so... It's a bit different to see this Lakota. The last Veep actually again this late into the match, about 17 minutes. Oh wow, look at this. Yellow Lakota happened to send some support to help the Teal French out. What's this here? We're going to try to see a bit of a raid by the Teal French Hussars. They could attack this mine. This would be a good option. But are they going to do that? No, they're going to try to go into the base. Oh no, they're going to turn around. Okay. Okay. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that damage. Good. Very good. That's at least one more batch of villagers, 3 block of 3 settlers that you have to get out of this town center. So that was a good job at cutting down the Russian economy a bit. The Red Russia, that is. Looks like this Lakota is stabilizing their eco a little bit more, which is great. As far as this front up here, still a bit of a back and forth. Dutch are going to try to build sort of like a wall of riders and skirmishers with some cans behind. Sort of their usual military strategy to prevent any loss of land up here. And when needed, they're going to use hussars to force the Russians back, which they're doing right in this spot. Of course, you need to pull them back, though, once they go behind the wall, because they're just going to be killed for free. Also, horse guns drawing down just as we see culverins coming up over here. Well, that culverin was sniped by the cannons just because it was way too close to the gate over here. The ones in the back, though, are going to prevent any assault on this section. We continually see yellow Lakota and teal France teaming up on this front against the red Russians. So, this is really a red flag for red Russians because really, you should not have to be fighting two of them, right? You should have your British friend over here totally taking care of the Lakota for you and letting you go in for a proper assault, which is never going to happen if you're fighting two opponents at once. Your resources are going to get drained, and then eventually you're probably going to resign, you know? I don't want to predict that, you know, I'd like to see for myself what happens here, but I can tell you one thing for sure, when you have players forced into a 2v1 situation throughout the match, that's usually an indicator that your team is not doing too good. I do appreciate that Green is trying to do a bit of siege work up here, maybe clean off some of the wider edges of the enemy base, but they need to move in down here and start sieging from the north over here into these walls. That is really important right now. You need to help your ally out here or they're not going to last too long. You got a lot of work to do right now and it's not going to be easy. Oh, what's going on with this fort here? Oh, they got Teal France here with the mortars. They're going to take down this fort right now. Does he have any recruits to build another one potentially? Yeah, he does. He does have some recruits over here. So, let's see if he can get these recruits together to construct a fort over here. Yeah, he's going to try to defend it as best as possible, though. He has to defend his mortars because he could use these mortars to essentially... Oh wow, they just denied a teal fort right over here. Perfect. That's going to give you a little bit more breathing room, honestly, because imagine if a fort went up over here, you'd be dealing with some serious problems. Serious problems. Veteran pikemen? That tells me there was a raid over here. Yeah. You don't see veteran pikemen unless somebody's trying to cut into one of these walls. Yeah, I think probably Red Russia made some apprentices again or something. Yeah, you would normally never see pikemen being used otherwise. Unless their economy's falling apart. I think, nah, the economy isn't in that bad shape. I mean, the coin is low, but not that low to justify pikers, so, yeah, I think something went on over here that forced him to put out some quick pull-arms. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't see that, but, you know, in general, it seems like whenever somebody gets into the enemy's walls over here, they usually don't do a whole lot of damage, right? They never get a factory down, they never kill settlers that often, so at least for this match, it seems like the raids are less significant because of how good these teams are defending their inner base. But certainly, Pink Dutch here almost lost their factories, which would have been a big game changer and would have led to an early victory for this team. But thankfully, the units arrived in just about the right amount of time from the green British to kill those Tajunki prowlers. But now we're starting to see the green British force again back to their side of the map because yellow Lakota have decided to go all in with rifle riders. These brutal MVP units of the Lakota. They have a strong rate of fire, or at least it seems like that the way you see them recharge their guns. Good multipliers against cavalry, artillery, and heavy infantry, so they damaged really everything really well except for what dragoons and skirmishers pretty much. Yeah, only these sort of two units the rifle arm needs to be careful with, and this is why they've sort of retreated back here. Since they do have the heavy cavalry tag, they actually do suffer multipliers from dragoons, which many people don't know about until you look at the tags properly. I've actually won that a couple of times in Coliseum. I've made a bunch of like javelin riders with Ethiopia, and I actually completely obliterated their rifle riders with them. And it's like, I didn't know you could do that. But you know, it's one of those things you learn in time. So now we're starting to see a red attack at the base over here. Oprishniks and Cossacks together. They're going to try to siege down this wall section, and start to move in on these farms. That's why you see the alarm going up, go beep beep beep. Gotta get some help. Get some help. This is when the pikemen are really good, you know. Nice cheap trash unit, you can just spam it the problem and clean it up. Clean up on aisle 5. Is this wall going to go down even? Well, these ones are going to try to move up over here, it looks like. Yeah, that wall's going down, but are they going to actually kill anything? Absolutely, the mills are right here. The orange Russian mills are right in this spot. And yes, we are going to see casualties be taken on this front here. Yes, casualties will occur. This could very well be a bad situation up in the north here. We continue to see Pink Dutch and Orange Russians fighting for this area. We even see Pink Dutch at this point trying to siege on their walls. So, if raids like this can kill off Red Russian settlers, or Orange Russian settlers down here, this gives Pink Dutch the cover they need to actually start sieging apart their walls and start moving down towards these inner walls over here. This is why walling in Deathmatch is vital, because walling is the only way you can delay an enemy assault in a large team situation like this. Without these walls, they would be directly pushing into you like that. And now, because of these walls here, well, wait a second, they could actually walk in through here. This wall isn't even valuable. You should be sieging, this wall? We're actually blowing up these blockhouses here. Yeah. How's the... Well, we see the teal economy is, you know, it's doing. I mean, it's going up and down a little bit. But what we really need to see up here is Lakota. Lakota. And they're going for another assault directly at the British base again. They're actually put some corrals and teepees down in an attempt to open up this front here on the map, using axe riders, rifle riders, and machinas to try to deal with the British military. It's so bad, in fact, the Pink Dutch now have to divert resources to it, as well as the Red Russians. This is really not a good situation when you got all three players trying to deal with one threat. Yeah, that's going to affect all the other fronts. That's going to affect the offensive down here by the Red Russians. And that's going to affect the offensive up here by the Pink Dutch. So, yeah, they gotta get that cleaned up really quickly and start attacking here again. Which is still going on, because as you can see here, mortars are gonna start shelling at those French forts. Horse artillery coming up as well to deal with any infantry threats. Also large masses of infantry. We see some Bolsheviks, which are the Russian halberdiers. We see recruits, the musketeers, and the unstoppable Strelitzes. Some Cossacks as well. Now the Moors are going to have to move up a little bit and start attacking this fort. Oh, but now they're going to be attacked from behind by the Teal French. Dragoons right up against their cannons. That is not good. That's not good. And they're also... Oh, yeah, they're getting sieged. Their fort's getting sieged from behind as well. 2 versus 1. Yep, exactly. Exactly. You got Dutch here and you got British here. That's a really good maneuver from them to try to clean out this area. And as soon as this base gets cleared out, Pink could probably move those back to this front again. Orange Russia trying to put some walls over here to try to close off this front. You know, they certainly don't want the British coming in up here and providing their assistance to this. Because as of right now, this wall here is kind of broken, and therefore hussars have gone through and actually started killing cannons, started killing the less unstoppable Strelitzes, which, you know, non-stoppable at all when you're dealing with the hussars, really any sort of artillery like these. Yeah, forcing them actually to go behind their second wall. Is there an opening? Yeah, there's openings in these walls too, so what's going on here? This is really not good. You know, you're letting the enemy come right in after you. And that gives them time to actually blast apart one of these gates to remove the choke point. Yep, they're going to get this gate down, and they can get any of these gates down. Good question. Also, what do you do in Lakota economically? So, this is really good. This is really good for Lakota. They've actually gotten their Great Hunter, they've gotten the Team Spice trade, and the Furrier, so this means that the Lakota over here actually got their full food economy potential down here from the bison hunting. Similar to how Tushki does it, so that's really good. That means that they're basically going to always have enough food throughout the match, as long as they're not throwing Cav. This secures their ability to keep fighting. That's really important. As far as British, though, I'm actually surprised that they have that little food. Like, only 5k food. Their coin is phenomenal, though. Partly due to the factories, but how about their deck? Have they gotten all their food? See, they don't have sustainable agriculture. I don't know why they don't have that. That could probably have made their food eco a little bit there. They're always going to suffer from lack of cavalry, I feel like, without sustainable agriculture in there. But we'll see. We'll see. I think the choice to go from longbowmen to the Rangers was a great idea, since, you know, you can save on a lot of wood going with the Rangers, and they also dish out a lot more damage than the longbowmen do, so that was also a good play from them. Oh wow, now we're seeing British employing concrete rockets onto the front. They got an infinite shipment of them in Age 4, so yeah, they're going to be able to keep sending these rockets as soon as they get some population available. Yeah, that's going to really help defend their position up here and relieve some of the pressure at least off of Red Russia down here. Red raiding, well, oh yeah, Prishnik's coming from behind. Killing a Kovran, yeah, that was pretty significant. They're going to come in too and go after these cannons. That's really not great. A mortar, yep, they're going to get a mortar down as well. Oh, the mortar just barely survived. Mortar just barely survived. These mortars are here basically to prevent any pink building construction here at all. Yeah, that's why they're there. They are there as a deterrent really to any further construction beyond this defensive wall. Pink Dutch also providing some assistance down here to the Green British, since it seems like the Green British are having a lot of problems today. Yeah, they keep getting completely torn apart by these Lakota. What's going on, Green British? Why are you getting ripped apart like this? Yeah, totally inept against these axe riders and Makina rifles. Also rifle riders sniping the hussars, trying to defend. Yeah, you're forcing your ally Pink Dutch to actually send units away from their front just to help you out. Horse artillery? These are wide open. The axe riders are just gonna axe their way through them. Yeah, that's not a good formation, man. What, you got guard pikemen? Guard pikemen? So you're running out of wood too, so you're not gonna be able to get more cans if you're going with the pikemen. Why don't you make some musketeers, some redcoats? No, some redcoat musketeers, perfect. Yeah, make those. Lots and lots of those. Maybe redcoat musketeer and horse artillery or something. Possibly some dragoons to deal with the rifle riders. Oh yeah, well actually I would go with the Rangers, because the Rangers don't suffer any multiplier damage from the Wakinas. Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel good for Red Russia here that they are still having forward bases on the plateau. If they lost their forward buildings and all from an attack from the north again by the Teal French, which can really come at their leisure through these walls, that would basically open up a front over here. So luckily they've been able to maintain that control for a while now. Oh, cuirassiers. Yeah, these things eat apart Strelitzes, you know. Strelitzes are never unstoppable when the cuirassiers start employing their splash attack. I think they're just gonna stay there at this point and just fight it out. Oh wow, Kovran's right over here and right in front of the constructed fort. They could actually plop down right there and start attacking it. Now they're just gonna retreat back into the safety of their little base here that they share with the Lakota, just so they can defend it properly. I feel like this fortification here of the Teal and the Lakota bases has really helped them to avoid any serious pressure, and has actually allowed Lakota multiple times, including now, to go into that base and start sieging stuff. Did they yep, they repaired their factories, luckily. That's good. It's really important. Field guns down here trying to defend any more entrance into this wall, but now you got a group of warclubs coming. Oh no, this is not good. The warclubs are definitely going to take down a factory at least. They might even get down 2 factories. Oh no, this is how the cookie crumbles, folks. You're losing factories. Where is Dutch economy right now? Dutch economy is actually in kind of questionable shape right now, because they're out of food right now, and they could have really used that factory to help recover that food loss. But now, because Green British left the gates wide open again, they have allowed the War Club invaders to come in and blow up one of those factories. So now they're only going to have 1 food trickle, potentially. Also, that large coin stockpile is starting to get eaten into as well, so the intense pressure and defensive tactics here of the Orange Russians have really driven down their resources, as well as the constant help they've had to provide to the British to keep them from getting overrun. At this point, British are basically forced to hide behind their wall with all these falconets and dragoons, really preventing a hardcore push in. Also, they have their ally, the Red Russians, using some chicks to cut up the rifles. Yeah, halberdiers can be used against infantry, folks, you know. If you're not aiming directly at them, a big group of halberd infantry can usually slice apart skirms pretty easily. Their hand attack is usually comparable to that of hussars. Bow has 1 less falc. Good. Very good. Yeah, you could use all the help you could get, folks. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, well, we finally see Orange Russians starting to move into the plateau again, even beyond the pink wall. So maybe we're seeing a paradigm shift and starting to see push back by the Orange Russia team. Pink? Oh yeah, Pink is salty right now. He knows his food is relevant. Oh god. Well, who is this? Who is this targeted at? Is it your enemy team, or is it your British ally? I can't tell at this point. Like, I can tell they're probably frustrated with the British for letting their factory go down, for having to constantly help them, so I don't know. I don't know at this point. Yeah, I mean, also too, I notice a real heavy lack of units down here for the Red Russians. Like, this fort is still somehow up, but I feel like it could go down at any point once the Teal French artillery starts shelling at it. Yeah, I feel like this could be a serious problem right here. Yeah, they need to start getting some units down here ASAP. Where is the Red Russian population going? Oh, so they've still had to come up here and help Green British out. You know, it seems like this British player has been a thorn in everybody's side, really, because we keep having to see both Red Russia and the Pink Dutch happen to come in and basically help them, which has really prevented them from going all in and committing to actual assaults on the enemy base, and also gradually grinding their resources down too. I do feel a little bit better for Pink Dutch that their food is recovering finally a little bit, but the coin is going down though, which is kind of a bad sign. It really is. Yeah, at this point, I don't know how this Red Russia team's actually going to pull off any attacks. You know, it seems like they keep getting dragged back home to deal with British problems. You know, and they just end up maintaining the lines they already got, respectively with the skirmisher cannon line here of the Dutch, and then the fort and blockhouse protected one over here. Yeah, mate. It looks like Red Russia has finally decided, you know. The only way we're going to deal with this is if we can start using our mortars to blasting apart the shared Lakota and Teal French military operations space over here. They need to start blowing up these buildings and these towers before they can even... This is boring. Boring. Why? Because you haven't made any ground yet since like 15 minutes? Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it feels like a never-ending fight. It's been like, what, 40 minutes? Yeah, that's a pretty long fight, I would say. Rarely do we ever see deathmatch fights that go on for like 40 minutes like that. But I guess when you have more people, it takes longer. Ah, so now we see the Stadwelt halberdiers coming in to back up the skirms. It's the first time in this match, I think, that we've seen halberdiers in use. Halberdiers are great against Strelitzes in large numbers only. If they're in little numbers, not so great, but if you get a big mass of them, they can actually eat into the skirmishers' low HP pretty easily, as well as their lack of hand armor. And they're also great at sieging, so maybe Dutch are in a desperate situation at this point to just end this, so they're going all in with the halberdiers. Yeah, they're getting some kills in there. What's going on here? Oh, so there's Lakota raids everywhere now. Look at this. Axe Riders. What's this up here? Oh! They could actually swoop in over here with these cav and take down that factory now. That is bad. Whose factory is that? That's a British factory this time. I was going to say, if they take down the Dutch factory, they're going to resign right now. They're not going to put up with that. Oh, yep, the factory is no longer repairing now, so that was definitely a setback in securing that. Unfortunately, not enough axe riders to actually get the siege done, though. But they're going to try to get on from the other side, though, with the axe riders. GG, guys, I'm bored. Yeah, he's probably real frustrated. Peo can't hold anyways. Oh, yeah, I mean, he's letting everybody in under the sun. All these axe riders, all these warclubs, they just keep coming in and burning stuff at this point. Yeah, so we're probably going to see Dutch resign at any moment. Bo, GG. Yeah, they had a good fight, you know. They had a good duel for this section in the cliff for really almost the entire match. Yeah, so they had a good fight. I prefer Treaty over this. Treaty. Yeah, Treaty. Yeah, Treaty basically also has a lot of resources, but you obviously wait 20 to 40 minutes to build your economy from the ground up to actually start fighting, so I could see why Treaty feels a little bit nicer, because you get a lot of time to actually build these bases up and you don't have to do it on the fly. You know, in Deathmatch, you have to do everything right away. Red Russia's still in the fight, though. What's going on here? What's going on here, man? Why are they still fighting?
Because?
Wait a minute, the match ended. Okay. Well, GG, guys. That was a really good 3 versus 3. I think it might have been actually my first deathmatch 3 versus 3. I want to take a look at the post game though and see, you know, where the resources stood. So it looks like if we combine this, and this, it does feel like though the British, Dutch, and Russians made a little bit more resources, slightly. Yeah, slightly. Lakota obviously has a lot of food because of all that meat they eat, you know. They don't try to be vegan and all. They eat plenty of meat-filled meals every day. In terms of military, you can tell Pink Dutch was actually doing really good at killing the Russian units. This kill count is pretty high. I mean, you were dealing with the Red Russia, and Teal France didn't even get that many kills, but Dutch, great job. Lakota, they did great. Look at all the raisings that took place, and even included in the enemy base. So, a lot of good work from both Lakota doing the raiding, and their allies were great at defending and stopping any real incursions from the Dutch or the Red Russians. I hope you enjoyed seeing this deathmatch 3 versus 3. I enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope we could get more of these, you know. It was probably the most intense large-scale fight I've ever covered on any of my castings before, so it's definitely make me a more seasoned caster for you guys. If you have any matches like these or other ones, always send them my way so they can end up on Unstoppable Stwetzy YouTube channel. See you next time, folks. Signing off now from this casting.